Hi, welcome back to Joe Blogs. And as you can see, I'm not in the Joe Blogs studio today. I'm actually down at the beach and there's nobody else here because it's quite early in the morning. And the reason I wanted to make this video is to give you an update on what's happening in the Russian economy. If you've been following the channel, you'll know that one of the biggest developments in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine has been Ukraine's use of drones. They've been using drones to target infrastructure in Russia, specifically oil refineries. And when those oil refineries are hit by those drones, quite often they have to close, sometimes for a period of up to months. And it was recently announced by the Russian Energy Ministry that the 6-month ban that they brought in March on gasoline exports to protect all of the fuel for Russian nationals has been extended for a further 2 months. So this shows that Russia is having serious problems with regards to these drone attacks. And the problem that's causing for the economy is obviously a huge loss of income. And Ukraine has now announced that it's developing artificial intelligence to improve its drone attacks. And there are 5 benefits that Ukraine sees from these artificial intelligence developments. Firstly, when you've got a drone, at the moment, you have to use what's called a first-person view. So basically, you have a pilot. Somebody actually is maneuvering that plane, they're flying it to try to hit the target. And that is actually quite inaccurate because when you've got a pilot that can only view the small screen that they've got. And also what's happening with these pilots is that they're having to stand quite close to the border in order to make sure that the signal makes it all the way through to the strike target zone. And these targets can be up to 1,000 miles from the border. And the problem with standing close to the border is that you become vulnerable to attack yourself. And so Russians have been actually targeting where all of these pilots are located to try to stop those drones being successful. So by using AI, you would take out the need for a pilot because you could fly automatically. You would just program the drone and it would be able to see where it's going and be able to check whether or not that target is still in range. You wouldn't need to have somebody standing there actually piloting it. So AI could change the face of this warfare completely. One of the other benefits also is that with a first-person strike pilot, you have the problem of actually missing the target. And it's estimated at the moment that only around 30% of these drones are actually getting towards their target. So if you had artificial intelligence, you could get that strike rate up to around 80%. And obviously, if you're moving from 30% to 80%, that means that there will be a lot more strikes and therefore a lot more refineries and other forms of infrastructure that could be taken out. Another additional benefit offered by the use of artificial intelligence is the fact that it can stop jamming. At the moment, the Russians intercept the signal between the pilot and the drone, and that can cause the drone to go off track and therefore miss its target or just drop out to the sky completely. By having artificial intelligence, it can block that jamming, stop all of those signals from being intercepted, and therefore mean that you've got a much higher strike rate with all of your drones, and again improves the potential ratio of actually hitting all of this infrastructure. And one of the other developments that potentially could help is that you could turn a surveillance drone, so one of these drones that flies very high, way up above the sky, basically mapping where all of the Russian infrastructure is. You could convert that surveillance drone into an attack zone. So it could start off as a surveillance drone, fly over very high, and then if it spots a target that it thinks it could strike, it could then zoom in and basically hit that target. But probably the most significant of all of the developments that Ukraine is working on at the moment is the development of swarms. Now, one of the concepts when you're flying drones is that you could fly a swarm of up to 100 drones over a site and then zoom in and try to hit that target. And obviously, if you had 100 drones, it would be very difficult for Russia to be able to stop that because they'd have to identify where they all are, track them, and then hit every single one of them. Now, at the moment, when you've got pilots, it's very difficult to be able to operate swarms because obviously you run the risk of them hitting each other, and it's just incredibly difficult to be able to manage that. But if you had artificial intelligence, so we're able to actually map it so none of these drones would hit each other and they could all coordinate and move in different formats, then that potentially could increase the strike rates as well. So swarming is something that would be really difficult for Russia to defend against. So all of these developments, I think, are really interesting and significant. And if you've been following the channel, you'll know that Ukraine has raised a ton of cash to develop its drones over the next 12 months. The European European Union has also committed to providing up to 1 million drones over the next 12 months. So there is a lot of cash and support going into this effort for the warfare. And one of the reasons for that is because the direct impact of these drones hitting is that it hurts Russia's economy. It will stop the revenue from oil and gas facilities. If those facilities are taken out, as they have been over the past 12 months, then Russia loses that revenue. And if you hit Russia in its pocket, that is the most likely way of bringing some sort of peace settlement to the war in Ukraine. So I'm being hit by things that are falling out of this tree behind me. So the reason that I wanted to post this video is that artificial intelligence has been massive news over the past 12 months. If you look at the stock market, any stocks that are related to AI have gone up dramatically. In fact, Nvidia, which is the maker of the chips used in most artificial intelligence, became the most valuable company in the world during 2024. So that really tells you that the world is moving towards AI. But I think when most of us think of AI, you think of some sort of futuristic technology, flying cars, those sort of things. You don't really think about practical applications. But the fact that Ukraine is now developing its AI technology to improve its strike ratio for the drones that it's using against Russia means that Russia will lose more revenue. It means that Russia will start to suffer more as a result of these strikes, and there is a higher likelihood of some sort of peace settlement being agreed. So I thought it'd be interesting to share that news with you, and also to have a look around where I am at the moment. It's quite a nice place, quite a nice beach. It's a bit cloudy at the moment actually, which is a bit disappointing, but it is still warm, and it's meant to be over 100 degrees today. Let me know what you think of Joe Blogs on location, whether you like it or not, or whether you prefer to see me in the studio with some graphs and all of that sort of thing. I will still be doing that, so don't worry, this isn't a permanent switch to this sort of video. I thought I'd just mix it up a little bit, try something a bit different, because I think it's interesting to always keep developing things, moving forward rather than staying static. So the overall summary of today's video is that the development of AI technology could potentially help to accelerate a peace settlement in Ukraine through the use of AI on drones. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, found it useful, informative and thought-provoking, and maybe a bit more fun than some of the other ones. Let me know what you think, and I'll be posting again soon.